Hello, lords and ladies of the internet. I'm the King of Candor, and today I'm going to provide a quick overview of some of the games that you can play instead of 5e. With all the drama surrounding the OGL and many new people looking into other games, I figured it would be helpful to provide new players with a quick guide on these games. No, this is only a brief summary of these mechanics and style of games used with these systems. If you want an in-depth review of any of these games in particular, let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, go ahead and subscribe. Also, I'm going to timestamp each game below. Pathfinder 1st Edition. At its heart, Pathfinder is a heroic fantasy RPG like Dungeons & Dragons. It uses a standard set of dice, a d4, a d6, a d8, a d10, a d12, and a d20. Dice rolls are often a d20 plus modifiers to determine the success and failure. Pathfinder uses attributes such as strength and charisma, modified by one's race for their base statistics. You gain more abilities based on your class, with a handful of feats to give more options. The players take on the role of heroes who fight monsters and do good, mostly. Pathfinder is built off the 3.5 edition of D&D, and takes those rules and improves them greatly. The basic version of 3.5 has a lot of issues and imbalances which became clear as the game was played for so long. Pathfinder was an attempt to fix these issues and keep this version of the game alive, while Wizards of the Coast moved to their 4th edition of D&D. Pathfinder was released in 2009 and quickly became the go-to RPG of its generation, outselling 4th edition in some months, and propelling Paizo, the publisher, to the top of the industry. Pathfinder 1st Edition is probably the most complete game ever made, and it plays similarly to 5th Edition, but with more math and way more customization. Because of its age, some of the books are currently out of print, but the SRD is free online. You won't get the lore, but the mechanics are there for free on the SRD, or Systems Reference Document, which is linked below. On the subject of content, you won't be lacking, as there are 28 hardcover books and hundreds of pre-made adventures covering nearly 15 years of game development, plus hundreds of other third-party products to boot. Pathfinder's main drawbacks is it requires a lot more math, and it needs players to somewhat plan their builds, or they'll be far weaker and almost unplayable at high levels. It also suffers from the same issue as 5th edition D&D, where magic users are very weak at low levels, but become demigods at high levels. World of Darkness. The World of Darkness game, also called the Storyteller system, covers several game systems like Vampire the Masquerade and Werewolf the Apocalypse. This system is unique as it only uses d10s, with the amount of dice you roll being based on your attributes and skills. A success is an 8 or above, with the amount of dice rolled being determined by how difficult the challenge is and your skills. The game has players in the role of supernatural beings, with their abilities far outstripping that of a normal human. Quote, "You are a supernatural badass," end quote, as my friend describes it. You advance your abilities in World of Darkness by gaining XP, then spending that XP to add more dice to your skills and attributes. The XP system here is really something I want to highlight, as it's one of the best I've seen, with XP for role-playing and working towards goals you assign at character creation being given out. This means that character advancement is always happening, and it's exciting. World of Darkness has been around for decades, with their system also being in the 5th edition, making the content accessible and easy to find. However, they do not have a full SRD. I have linked below the closest thing to a legal version I could find of it though, so use that as you will. Some of the drawbacks with the system is combat can be made laughably easy. It's very unbalanced, and I've heard combat is excruciatingly slow. With only one action around, it quickly turns into people sprinting in circles around each other instead of fighting in melee. You are also only able to really play monsters, and being a good person or anything outside of one of the playable villains is not really possible, which might be a deal breaker for some people. Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu is by far the most popular of these systems and has a plethora of great content for it. It takes place in our world, using the mythos of H.P. Lovecraft for its setting. The characters are much weaker here, with a single bullet being able to kill you. There's also no advancing in levels, but you improve skills through using them, which means characters gain abilities rather organically. You usually use a D100 to adjudicate your rolls, but a standard set of dice is also required for play, the same as Pathfinder. The 7th edition, the most current one at time of recording, is also backwards compatible with the previous versions of the game. It requires some simple multiplication to make the systems line up though. This means you get access to over 40 years of content from their backlog, plus the new adventures being made today. Call of Cthulhu does have an issue with image though. You don't need to know the mythos to play the game, and it does have combat, which is something the internet doesn't seem to know. Also, you can carry over characters between sessions. Rarely do characters die and go insane to the point of unplayability. The basic starting rules are also totally free and linked below. I've also linked Seth Skorkowski's Call of Cthulhu overview. It's fantastic content for those just starting to get into the game. One last thing on Call of Cthulhu. If you want a bit more action-packed game with stronger heroes, I suggest the Pulp Cthulhu mod. It's my preferred way to play it and turns everything into kind of an Indiana Jones / The Mummy movie. Starfinder. If Pathfinder interested you, or you want to take your fantasy game into space, I recommend giving Starfinder a look. Starfinder is like Pathfinder 1.5, but in space. The game is a D20 system, and uses the standard set of RPG dice, so it'll feel familiar if you're coming from 5th edition. Starfinder does have its own quirks though. The magic system is far weaker, capping out at 6th level spells instead of 9th level stuff. You also have a new stamina system, which is basically a second health pool that has some special rules around recovering. Another aspect of this system is the technology and the item levels. Item levels are best explained at this level. I have a standard grenade. It deals 3d6 damage. As I advance in levels, I unlock the ability to buy a higher level grenade. It now deals 5d6 damage and is slightly harder to dodge. All items work like this now, so you will always be upgrading your gear and finding new tools for your arsenal. It's also pretty compatible with Pathfinder, which means you can take some of the content from 1st edition Pathfinder and use it in your own setting if needed. Space doors are available. Now, space combat is here, but it's a little bit clunky. However, it's overall a fun time. Unlike other games listed here, Starfinder does not officially have an SRD. However, the Archives of Nethys exists, which is a fan site, and has most of the content you need. I linked that below for you. Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So, Pathfinder 2nd Edition is listed here because even though it's newer, it currently has less active players on Roll20, and it's a very different game from Pathfinder 1st Edition. Pathfinder 2 has a unique action economy, which allows you to take 3 actions of any type on your turn. This means in theory you can make 3 attacks, or move 3 actions, or move, attack, then cast a cantrip. These options are very open. It also has a very intense character customization, with more options in the core rulebook than existed in Pathfinder 1's core rulebook. Pathfinder 2 is also more streamlined and has much better game master support for new GMs compared to Pathfinder 1. However, it still has a lot of math, and one of the biggest drawbacks compared to Pathfinder 1 is how the customization limits you. This is of course being compared to Pathfinder 1, which is gonzo. Pathfinder 2 is still leagues ahead of 5e, but with less books and a more restrictive leveling system, you will have less options. For example, in Pathfinder 2, you're missing some of the wild freedom, for the good and bad that brings. I still want to stress, Pathfinder 2 is very well balanced, the math is tight and the system works mechanically well. You also need a standard set of RPG dice to play this, and I linked this one's SRD as well below. A quick note, if you're around during the playtest and remember the awful resident system they had, that's gone in the modern version of the game. So if that kept you from trying it, perhaps give it a second look. Enoss. Before I close this video, I would also like to mention my own RPG system, Enoss. It's not quite ready yet, but we're currently in the playtesting phase for it. Enoss takes place in my own home setting, and I have developed many new innovative mechanics for it. I have the best character creation I've ever seen in a game, with mechanical benefits to back up your roleplay choices. I also have a new XP system, which gives you unmatched freedom when designing the characters you play. Also, the system supports an optional rule for infinite leveling. I also removed the high-level imbalances found in other RPGs. Our goal is you should feel like Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli while playing this game. Powerful enough to fight a few Uruk-hai off, but felling a troll is still an epic feat. My magic system also makes spells more meaningful, It allows low-level wizards to still contribute without cantrips, and makes high-level casters feel like the scion of magic they should. There's also no more spell slots. I also have a fully functional economy with prices that make sense in universe and help give your players an understanding of their wealth relative to others, as well as actual choices on what to buy. There's a lot of other systems that I cannot wait to explain them to you. However, when we're closer to making Enoss a reality, I'll be able to share more. I've already put 3 years into designing it and cannot wait to show you all soon. That's all for today. Thank you for watching this far. If you enjoyed the content, I'd appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. I'm also looking forward to your candor in the comments below. Have a great day.